This is the Middle East. Now take a guess. What do you think it looked like 100 years ago? Much of this map would you say has changed? Well, quite a lot actually. Those changes have had a profound effect on us all. Today we're going to look at how Western powers carved up the Middle East and why their 20th century interventions continue to shape the region today. We'll start with the Sykes-Picot Agreement in 1916, that when Britain and France secretly agreed to partition the Ottoman territories of the Middle East after the First World War. They drew borders, they divided the spoils, and they pretty much ignored the people who actually lived there. The agreement established the modern borders between Iraq and Saudi Arabia, between Syria and Jordan, between Lebanon and Israel, Palestine, and the Gulf states. It's the reason why some countries exist like Israel, and it's also the reason why some countries do unlike the state of Palestine. You see the Balfour Declaration in 1917. The UK government said that they would support the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, which outraged the local Arab population who had been promised independence. That declaration is still seen as a key cause of the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict. Then came the mandate system. After the war, the League of Nations, the forerunner to the UN, took control of the former Ottoman provinces and turned them into colonial territories. Britain got the mandate for Palestine, and France got the mandates for Syria and Lebanon. In other words, the West was still in control. They were still carving up the Middle East, despite promising independence. And that brings us to the 20th century and the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union intervened in the region to entrench authoritarian regimes and to fight their proxy conflicts. In 1953, for example, the CIA orchestrated a coup in Iran to install a pro-Western leader and prevent the Soviets from gaining influence. That leader, Mohammad Pahlavi, ruled as an absolute monarch until the Iranian Revolution in 1979 in Afghanistan. The U.S. supported the Afghan war against the Soviets in the 1980s, which destabilized the country and led to the rise of the Taliban. Meanwhile, the West continued to back monarchies and autocracies in the region because they were useful. For example, Saudi Arabia and Jordan are both absolute monarchies. But the Saudis control the world's biggest oil reserve, and Jordan sits on a key strategic waterway. Authoritarian leaders might not be good for democracy, but they're great for oil security. But what does this mean for today? How does 100 years of foreign intervention, regime change, and colonial rule affect us today? Well, it's left a legacy of instability, sectarian tension, and conflict. Artificial borders created during the Sykes-Picot Agreement still exist. The Israel-Palestine conflict continues. The state of Syria is still reeling from the effects of the Arab Spring. And in Iraq, the US-led invasion led to a power vacuum and the rise of extremist groups like ISIS. You can also argue that the client states have become too dependent on their foreign masters. Places like Saudi Arabia and Jordan rely on Western military support and trade deals to survive. But those partnerships are increasingly under strain due to things like human rights and the war in Yemen. Now, of course, this isn't an exhaustive list, and there are many different perspectives on the history of the Middle East. But hopefully this video gives you something to think about. How much do you think the Middle East has been shaped by outside forces? And should Western powers continue their involvement? Or should they leave it to the countries of the region to sort out their own problems? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.